the next up, we have a panel discussion on the topic role of community biolabs in promoting open science. And um, the panelists for this panel discussion would be Dr. David Sangkong, Director, Community Biotechnology Initiative, MIT Media Lab, Mr. Salman Pramon Khan, CEO, MechaMind, Mr. Oden Joffrey, founder and CEO of SynBio Africa, Mr. Ben Suarez, co-director, Fab Lab Lima moderator, and the moderator for this discussion would be Ms. Carolyn Anderson, who is the co-founder of ARC-BAC. Hi, Carolyn. I also see Mr. Bino on. I also see Mr. Bino on video. Hello. Okay, so a little something about our moderator for the discussion, because this topic is something that I personally am very fond of. I was really new to Darwin back then when I witnessed this free event where Autumn sir and Salman sir and Maria ma'am, they came together to talk about this topic, and I was the one hosting it, and it was something I will always remember, something I will always cherish. The discussion was amazing. So this is something I'm definitely going to look forward to. Again, coming back to Carolyn now. Carolyn Angleton is a bioartist, researcher, and experimental gardener. She has taught art and critical theory at California State University, uh, Fresno and Sierra College in Rockland, CA. She is a co-founder of ARC-BAC, an art and synthetic biology collaborative at the American River College in Sacramento, California, and founder of SAC BioArts, a bioart studio. She holds a BFA from Colorado State University and a MFA from Rhode Island School of Design and Fine Arts. You can like presume and conclude that she is an all-in-one woman, and she is currently enrolled in a biotechnology program. She is on the BioSubmit organizing committee and is a Biofellow. So, Ms. Carolyn, over to you. Who's going to do that? Oh,
There we go. I was waiting for you guys to unmute so we could talk.
I'm really sorry.
If you could unmute Jeffrey and Salman and Benno, that would be great. I would love to hear from them. Hi, guys. Hi, Benno. Hi, Salman. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Caroline.
Good to see you all.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jeffrey. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Kong.
Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you as well.
David sir won't be able to attend due to some technical issues. Again, technical issues are a pain in the pandemic, even bigger than the virus itself. So
yeah, and I think one of the things that we're finding is the United States is pretty far behind in terms of internet access in many, many areas. So we're kind of seeing the seams of the United States show through this pandemic in many, many ways, I think. Saying that as a US person here. But we have three wonderful panelists that are all part of this international community bio movement. And this is just a really amazing movement in terms of the way it brings people together and allows forums such as this for us to bring people from different continents together and talk about issues in community bio labs. And so today on our panel, the name of our panel is called The Role of Community Biolabs to Promote Open Science. And we have with us Benno Juarez, Odom Jeffrey, and Salman Proman. And I'm going to let each one of you introduce yourself for about 2 or 3 minutes. Tell us who you are and a little bit about the lab you're part of or your role in the community bio movement. And Benno, do you want to start us off here?
Yes, super Caroline. Thank you so much. And thank you, friends, to invite me. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here with these amazing panelists. Well, I come from the Amazon rainforest. I think it's one of the main goals why I really love and I understand the importance of community. You know that the Amazon, it's a hard place where many, everything around you, you could almost eat everything around you, and also everything around you could eat you. So the importance of the community is extremely in this context. Well, today I am the director of the director and founder of the first Fab Lab in Latin America, and also the director of the Latin America Fab Lab network. This year we celebrate 10 years of our network in our region. We started with one lab 10 years ago, and today we are more than 200 Fab Labs. We are yeah, it's amazing party this year. So we are involved in different fields, especially how to do high technology. And one of the amazing projects, or one of the projects that we are more involved in, it's in the Floating Fab Lab Amazon. And this is a project to connect local communities in the Amazon region with global communities involved, related to biotech. And finally, I am the creator of the Symbio creation methodology. It's a process to connect ideas coming from thousands of people and make one single product, integrating cultures, technologies, and well, many things around that. Thank you so much, Super Caroline.
Oh my goodness, Benno, that's amazing. You are just involved in some amazing things, both in terms of what you're building out as well as the ideas that you're generating. That's just lovely to hear. Thank you so much. Salman, would you introduce yourself and what aspect of community bio? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caroline. So hello, everyone. Thank you, Darwin organizing team, for this wonderful event. And I'm really lucky to be here. I was physically present in the last year's Darwin, and the hospitality was amazing. So I'm Salman Proman, founder of Mechamind. I'm residing in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So Mechamind is kind of like a community education and what do you call, like R&D, but our community lab, which we're calling Star Labs, Science, Technology, and Arts Research Lab, an open and affordable classroom and lab space for makers, innovators, biologists, artists, engineers, independent researchers, and whatever, who were like interested, they can come and like work here, and all, they can teach here as well. So where they can like use our facilities for their work, research, workshops, or seminars, or any kind of like classes. So what we are trying to do is we are working on spreading science literacy in community level. So maybe we'll be talking about it more later. So thank you so much, Caroline, for giving me this floor.
Yes, thank you, Salman. And science literacy really is at the center of much of what I think all of us are doing here today. So we'll talk about that as we go on a little bit. Thank you so much, Salman.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Jeffrey, would you please introduce yourself and your involvement with the community bio movement?
Yes, thank you very much, Caroline, for giving me the floor. And I would like to thank Ritika for hosting the event since yesterday. You're doing a great job. And also, I want to welcome my fellow panelists. I hope this will be a very resourceful discussion. You're most welcome. For me, as they have said, I'm called Tim Geoffrey, and I'm from Uganda. I'm the founder of Symbio Africa. If you have been hearing about Symbio Africa, that is the initiative that I've started way back in 2018.
Let's see, I think Jeffrey's paused a little bit, but he'll come back on maybe. We'll wait just a second and see. It's all of us. It's kind of our internet goes in and out, and then we have to scramble to get back online. That's me a lot of the times as well.
Boston. That was 2018.
Jeffrey, I think you're cutting in and out a little bit. I don't know if it would help to not have your picture up, whether you'd have more bandwidth and we could hear you better, but we're having a hard time hearing you right now. Well, we'll Jeffrey, when he'll probably, are you there? If there you go, Jeffrey.
Oh, sorry.
Hi there.
Sorry
Yeah,
for the internet.
we're all
Our
gonna have
internet
an internet problem, so don't worry about it.
yeah,
Just
sorry. Yeah. Yeah,
so we
so I
just
was
heard the first part.
Yeah, so I was talking about my involvement in community biotechnology. So I happen to be one of the Biofellows who were selected in 2019 to go and attend the Bio Summit at MIT Media Lab, Boston. So being one of the fellow was a very big motivation and inspiration for me. And since that time, I really got inspired and motivated to come back to my home country. And after that, we are now at the stage of, we are still work in progress in Uganda to make sure we establish a fully functioning community biolab, which is currently, we are hosted at Makerere University. So we hope to also have our community biolab fully functioning in a short time to come. So for now, that is briefly what I can tell you about me and my involvement in community biolab. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. And maybe just a little introduction to those of you that may not have heard this. The community Biofellows that Jeffrey was referring to, I think everybody on the panel has been part of that or part of some aspect of the Bio Summit. And the community Biofellows is a program that brings together people in different parts of the world that are working to set up labs or have some kind of initiative, and it trains them in leadership skills, how to gather people together and generate ideas as a group, and how to have a process to identify what it is you want to do. So that's a wonderful program, the community Biofellows that the Bio Summit at MIT has initiated and has been really beneficial to, I think, each one of us on this panel. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna ask the panelists a couple rounds of questions, and they'll have a cheer. So the first question I want to ask you guys is a little bit of background. In each of our countries, we all need people both from the general public as well as policymakers to buy into science, i.e. to take action and implement policies that are based in scientific knowledge. And as I think most of us can see, this is a real challenge right now, given the gaps of leadership in many countries and the politics, the politicizing of science. So the question I have to each one of you is, what do you see as community labs' role in getting people more familiar with the concepts of biotechnology and increasing science literacy in the current atmosphere? And what are examples of this that are most important to you personally? And Salman, why don't we start out with you here?
Well, I think everyone can hear me. So thank you so
Yes.
much, Carolyn. Well, actually, I'm going to start kind of like retro here. I'm going to start with an example. So before COVID, our community biology education program for underprivileged was taking place, and we used to teach biotechnology, microbiology, and other sciences areas to some slum kids. So they learned to make their own microscope, cultured microorganism. They grew like a knowledge about pathogens, sterility, hygiene, how those are significant to the real life, etc. So when COVID happened, they had a prior understanding of the scenario, actually. We didn't expect that, of course. Like, we didn't know coronavirus is gonna strike again in the next year or something. But somehow they have this idea of biotechnology, and in biotechnology, like microorganism, like microscopy, everything's like involved kind of. Initially we started that, so they not only they were aware of it. This knowledge of safe practices transferred to their families and their like parents, people around them, the adults actually. So the adults were learning these things from the kids, and the kids they learn from this community biotechnology education program. So the community was kind of like helped with that sort of initiative indirectly. And another thing, that was an example. Another thing I want to say, that is the requirement of institutionalized education will not be an obstacle. I mean, community labs will allow individuals to have the opportunity to learn and contribute with their knowledge that will expand the spreading of science literacy. And that's my opinion. So yeah, and same goes for the lessons of conservation of species, like environment, sustainable farming, and everything. Those can like come together when you are working on life science. And now, when a society is with those kind of knowledge, a holistic push will be created to policy making as well. The understanding of specific relevant situations like this will be observed, understood by well-aware citizens, and they can criticize or contribute to the policies more effectively than an oblivious community. So I think politicking and the science literacy, they can push each other, and more likely this an well-aware scientifically literate population may have this a grasp on this policy making of any country or any governance situation. So that's kind of it from me right now.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you're saying about whether citizens have the education level to know what the issues are, to be able to talk in terms of the issues, and then to ask their governments to further those ideas. So I hear that as a very important aspect that you're talking about, is that science literacy that allows people to be informed and thereby participate in a meaningful way. I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline.
Jeffrey. Yeah, Salman. Jeffrey, would you like to answer the question next? And I think you need to unmute yourself here with that. So we're talking about what you see as the role of community labs in promoting kind of this scientific knowledge.
Yes, on top of what Salmon has given us, I see community biolab as an open space where we can get to interact with our community. We get to interact also with the policymakers in our respective countries. More especially, at the moment, biotechnology is very contentious issues like in Uganda. So this is a platform where we can get to interact with our community. They get to know what biotechnology holds for them, the benefits of biotechnology in relation to agriculture, health, and different applications. So it's a platform that we can use to create awareness about this biotechnology. And in the process, we are able to, gain the acceptance of biotechnology in the community. And at the same time, we use this platform also, to solicit for the political will from the policymakers, for us who are struggling so much for the biotechnology bill to be passed in our country. So I see it as a very good open platform that we can bring all these stakeholders together so that we tell them, okay, we get to inform them that, this biotechnology holds more benefits to us, and it's something that it has to be adopted in the country for the betterment of the people in that particular country. So for me, I see it as beneficial like that. And this we can really do it in many ways. Like for us, we have tried in organizing Open Science Days. We participated in Open Science Day sometimes back, where we presented Bio Africa. We talked to the people about what synthetic biology is, the benefits, the promise it has for the whole nation. So it was really a good interaction, a good experience that we thought it is a good approach for other scientists in other countries to adopt. And also, we tried also to reach out down to the primary schools, not only to the university, but we reached out the primary schools to tell them more about technology, so that by the time they go to high school, at least they have some bit of the knowledge of this biotechnology, and also they develop interest into this biology or science at an earlier stage. So that is one of the approach that we also used to make sure we utilize this open Biolab or open science platform for creating awareness. And one of the examples that I can say is that, in our case, the participation in IGM competition was something that really opened ways for us, and we were able to be known throughout the country and beyond the country. So we got to reach deep into other schools, like other universities, and they got to know what synthetic biology is and what are the applications. So it created more inspiration for other universities also to get involved in this, and we are hoping that in the next year competition, we shall have more teams coming from Uganda. So basically, that is how I see Open Biolab benefits to our community, to our policymakers, more of soliciting for acceptance in the community, and also political will from the policy makers. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Jeffrey. I think you're bringing up some really interesting points about your aiming both at a very high level in terms of the iGEM participation, but you're also reaching down and saying it's really important at an early age that students get exposed to biotechnology and see from on the grade school level even that within the educational system, some of these ideas are present in order to develop kind of a pipeline as they move towards high school and then college. I think that's a really good point, is what age group do we work with as a community lab? So thank you for that. So Beno, in Peru, what kind of things are what's important in terms of science literacy in your setting?
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. It is a capital question. When we started 10 years ago, we really, we were very enthusiastic with government, showing all the potentials of these labs could bring to society. But at the end, nothing happened. So it was really frustrated at the beginning. We expect a lot of support from government, but at the end we had not. So until I realized that I was thinking, or I had this mentality to put the locomotive behind the train cars. So I said, no, we are, as communities, as technological communities and bio communities, we are faster than all traditional structures as government. So I understood that our role is to become the locomotive of these structures. I mean, you guys, you in these communities, you have the vision, you are more dynamic, so you can really bring this new circumstance to move these traditional structures. I would love to share one image from our experience in the last last few months inside the pandemic. No, what happened, for example, with makers and fathers. What you can see here it's the capability of response, not only in Peru, also in Latin America, and also in India, for example. No? It's part of our experience at Fab Lab Network, Global Fab Lab Network. So we realized that in less than 1 month, this technological community could respond with many different products directly to market, directly to the target. So as a difference of the traditional companies, for example, they took almost 1 month to place one product in market. And when we see government, they took more than 1 month, even 2 months, and the capability of response was really, really slow. No? So I think our main goals in society is to become the spearhead of the society, the locomotive that could provide the vision and the dynamics to empower traditional structures as government and other kind of companies. So at the end, I think our main role is to become the new DNA in an old traditional structure.
What a wonderful metaphor that community labs need to be the new DNA. We have a little bit more time, so I want to ask you around that. So you're talking about that community labs have a greater degree of flexibility than the traditional structures. And also, I love this metaphor of you decide to become the locomotion behind the train cars. You know, you decide to push this forward. And how do you feel that's received by the traditional structures? Do you feel like they embrace this kind of new mode of thinking and they're open to these new ideas, or are you finding resistance when you try to be that engine that gets things started?
Yeah, it's a very important question too. In my experience, they really see the values of a structure like these communities. Because, for example, in the case of companies, they say, okay, I cannot move so fast to market because I have a lot of risk. But you can. Yeah. You can explore, you can prototype, and you can information in order to scale these prototypes. No? And in the case of government too, they say, well, we want to regulate that, but we really don't know what is happening in the ground. You know what is happening in the ground. You are the creative force in the society, so you can provide us new resources in order to increase the impact. So it is well received by it has been well received by these all structures, and I realized that really we can switch from this mentality of wait for support and to change to our mentality to bring support to these more traditional and biggest structures.
Yeah, yeah. Jeffrey, how do you see that? How do you feel like this push towards the new is received in your country? If biolabs are the generators of new ideas, do you feel like there's a lot of pushback from traditional systems of education, or do you feel like they embrace these ideas? It might take him a second to get his internet going. Salman, why don't you jump in on that question right there? How do you feel this idea of innovation is received in terms of what it is that community labs trying to push forward these new ideas versus the traditional structures? What kind of pushback or embracing do you get in your community?
So firstly, I want to give an example in when the COVID started. So we are having a discussion in Joggle about the incident where Biotech Without Border was getting shut down or something, whatever. So actually, that scenario is the funding issue, the accessibility to the reagents and everything is kind of floating around. And from society, I think first of all, this education platform. The way different part of our education system is working. I think the need or the requirement and the acceptability of the outcomes from a community lab or this kind of ecosystem is still needs to be, well transferred or translated to proper, to the population, and as well as the governance or whoever the concern. And for me, these two are the initial pushbacks I'm like getting, but there are like certainly there are many other things depending on the region, depending on how you're operating. So I think from different part of the world, they can like come up with their own experiences in this matter. So yeah.
Yeah. Salman just mentioned this group called JOGL. Could you tell us what that stands for, Salman, and a little bit about what they're doing right now? It's a big subject, I know, but we have a little bit of time. So tell us about JOGL.
Sure.
It's fantastic kind of organization.
Right. So JOGL is just one giant lab. From this name, you can actually imagine. You are free to imagine whatever you want to do with that. So firstly, I will start with example. That is, I'm like putting so much example. Right? So the RT lamp for COVID testing. So that is, we all know Sarah, one of our fellows. So Sarah Blossom. So like Thomas Lenderins, he was the speaker today in Darwin as well.
Great. Great.
I think Thomas has like covered all the things about JOGL, but still I'm.
Okay, so everybody's heard about that. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had just spoken. Okay, so you guys all know about JOGL here on the call. So yeah, that's Thomas Landrain is doing some wonderful stuff with that, and he's really brought together a lot of people to work on that. Wonderful. Let's go ahead. Jeffrey, do you want to talk about how do you feel your ideas are being embraced by the more traditional aspects of science in your community or resisted? How is that going in your country?
Yes, thank you for that. As you very well know that we are still struggling so much with this, the acceptance of this biotechnology in our community, in our society. And also we still don't have any regulatory policy in place, like the biotechnology bill is still going to the parliament. Every time it keeps going back to the parliament, not yet approved by the president. So that is one of the challenge that we have, and it is making our hands still tied with scientists. We can't do much, but we are pushing, like me, I'm trying to connect with the members of parliament in the science technology committee. So these are the people who are eligible in
We can wait for a second. His internet's just. Let's see. Are you there yet?
Biolab, yeah. So, but anyway, everything.
Let's see. It's hard to tell when the internet goes in and out. Jeffrey, are you there at all? He'll come back on in a second. Let's keep rolling.
And also the policy makers, they still needs more. Then from there we shall be good.
So it sounds like, Jeffrey, what you're talking about is the policymakers still are, you're working to get the policymakers on board with some of these issues, which I think is a real challenge for a lot of us when we work with that. So let's move on to the next question, the next round of question. And what I'd like to talk about next is that each of us on this panel today are participating in the community lab movement on two levels. And I think this is happening kind of throughout as this COVID lockdown occurs, is that we're reaching inwards to a hyper-local situation. We're reaching inwards to our own communities. And at the same time, as part of the International Biosummit movement, we're reaching outwards in terms of trying to build this international network. And I think conferences like this, the Darwin conferences, are a good example of this. We're trying to form those international networks. And so we're pointing in both directions. We're pointing inwards within our specific context of our local communities, but we're also pointing outwards towards joining together internationally. And so I wanted to ask each of you, how do you understand this? Is that a contradictory thing to try and look both within your community as well as internationally? Or is that something that you see going together as part and part of the same thing? Benno, do you want to start us out on this round of questions?
Thank you, Caroline. Yes, this is a very important question, especially for, I think, for young people that maybe here are a lot of young people and that maybe are thinking, well, I have a dream, I have many projects, and yeah, I am thinking how to connect global technology with my community. And this is great. And also, I think it's extremely important, the reverse thinking. I mean, how could I develop local technology, but for a global impact? Because it's part of this sense of global community that we are part of. No? So
Yeah.
let me show you again a few pictures about what we are doing in Latin America. You know, we have a channel we call the FabLat TV. And thanks to this channel, we could share local experiences from different countries and from the others, and feel this feeling of big family, you know. And this process was very, very helpful during the pandemic, no. For example, I love this metaphor of Brenda Martinez from Puerto Rico. She say, with the pandemic, the war became like an island, no, you know, with countries closed the frontiers, and they said here in the Caribbean, we live like that for all the time. No? So we are like in a perpetual quarantine. So we have a lot of experience to share with the world. And this experience was really extremely important during this process where the world closed frontiers, when we could not move. These technological communities, these bio communities, get more involved than ever. And the result of this process where we share a lot of information in between of us from different experiences around the world. For example, one of the effects was to decrease the cost of different key products for the pandemic. In this case, this facial protector, you know, in less than 2 weeks, it decreased more than 20 times the cost. It's an extreme, a very important contribution of these collaborative networks. And we could also replicate this process in another kind of product. One question for when we start to collaborate and work together with different communities in the world, it's the intellectual property. Because imagine if you have one product where you have the contribution of thousands of people, and this product it's evolving in the time. So I think this is also part of the how could we reinvent intellectual property in order to work with local and global communities at that time.
Thank you, Benno. You were, you know, I'm remembering a conversation we had right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I remember you were beginning to fabricate those shields. Is that correct?
Yes. We have.
I remember that now. That was just incredible to see the way your lab was kicking into gear and trying to find the right product. That this was before we really knew what to do and what the personal protective equipment was needed. And you guys were very innovative in getting that started. So that's wonderful to hear. It's not wonderful to hear it's still going on 6 months later, but it's wonderful to see the efforts that you put together and how it was within this community Fab Lab that you're actually able to respond quickly. As you noted before, that you have the flexibility to get these products going and to get them to market in a way that a bigger company doesn't. That's very encouraging to see that. Yeah.
Exactly. So for Caroline, is that one of the biggest opportunities of the democratization of technologies, in this case, the biotechnology. I think for the future, the participation of young people, we can see here, from houses to society will increase.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. That's a great example. Yeah. Salman, how do you, I've tremendously enjoyed interacting with you over the years in terms of just hearing about what you're doing and working on committees with you. I think we've met in person maybe once or twice,
Twice.
We haven't met in person that often, but I really feel like I know you just from the work that we've done together with the Community Bio Summit. And so I'm wondering, how do you understand this focus locally, kind of in a hyper-local community sense, but also this attempt to build this international network? And you were also one of the Biofellows this year, and that's the program very involved in trying to build this international network. What are some thoughts that you have on that?
Sure. Thanks. And first of all, Caroline, like you are always kind of like refreshing for all of us. Yeah, as a moderator, as an in every way. So thank you so much for just be there. Okay. And now, well, actually, I'm gonna put an experience. Like when I started this sort of activities in terms of like local, it was more like teaching specific skills for empowerment and academics. But exposure to Global Bio Summit in 2017, it opened many windows and thoughts for the exploration. So I visited many labs in different parts of the world, not only in Bio Summit, I mean like in Europe and China, Asia, and different parts. Got to know about the works and diversified work areas of people. Also got the idea of a few first world concepts of community lab, which I found very engaging and effective for our community science democratization. So here, actually, community lab of this kind of initiatives, they can act as as stations where knowledge sharing, technology exchange, translation of global views, collective development can take place. So naturally, when we are connecting internationally and bringing something that may help us to explore new or advanced approaches, like I really bought many of them from this kind of exposures at our country. And at the same time, our root level approaches to local communities will allow us to translate those learnings, creating new methodologies from where a global science network can take shape and collective development through knowledge sharing can be achieved actually. So since many of us are here, community biofellow, so that was another level of interaction, another level of connecting together. So and also like juggle when there were when we are struggling with my lab, when I just started my Star Labs in Bangladesh recently, and it is the first community bio lab, and due to the COVID, I actually had to lose like $40,000, which is like huge for us. And now I was thinking, okay, is that a mistake or something I just started here? But then I realized from a juggle meeting that even people like Ellen Jorgensen, and they are also having some hard time to keep, New York, Biotech Without Border, this kind of labs. So then I got this opportunity. And also, I think Patrick, the North American bio community, is reaching out to help other community labs. I just got the email today. So this level of interaction, this level of interconnection, not only exchange of knowledge, not only like, growing together, but also helping each other. This is another form of this whole situation. So I want to say, like in my lab, like we try to create CPAP ventilators, $1 or like 10-cent face shield and everything due to the COVID response, and also an incubator. Basically, I was inspired from that joggle RT lamp technique. So one of our professors, we validated it here in Bangladesh, and also like we try to create like one incubator for under $100 or $80. So wow. These kind of things are, I mean, they are somehow connected. If I was just into in this root level without this kind of exposure to the global community, maybe I couldn't get this idea, or maybe the thought was not incepted in my mind. So yes, so local knowledge to solve specific problem, maybe combining them together to solve global problem. If we want to do this, interconnectivity is something which can come in handy. So yeah, that's kind of like my views here.
Yeah, that was a very rich answer. You covered a lot of things with that. Jeffrey, how do you see this kind of focusing local, but also connecting internationally? How does that, what's the value of that for you?
Yeah, first of all, sorry for the internet connection disturbing me here so much. Yes, really, Beno and Salman has given us a lot of insights into the question of discussion here. So for me, my take on this is that there is a saying that charity begins from home. So from that point, it's really very important for us to start from our home, like we citizen scientists, we start from home. We start creating awareness right from our home. And this kind of awareness creation will be the basis for our community penetration and community acceptance of what biotechnology holds for them. And also, this is how we are going to really draw closer to us, the policymakers. And in this process, that is how we are going to be able to have that, political will, so that we can really exploit our potential as scientists, citizen scientists. So having this in place, we'll also need that the regulatory policy in place, like for us, we still don't have. So after creating all this, you are sure that you are able to convince your policymakers to have all these regulatory policy in place. So after having all this in place, it is now upon us, the citizen scientists, to empower ourselves so that we have that confidence and that backing for us to start having those open collaboration for knowledge sharing that Salman has talked about. So the basis for us is to, first clean our house, clean our house back in our own community so that we are able, to collaborate internationally and share knowledge internationally efficiently. So to me, that is my take on how to approach this, how we can start from home, and then also we have that international connectivity. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Very nice. Yeah, charity begins at home. You start on your home front. Yeah, I like that. I know one of our big conversations that the Bio Summit have issue of how international knowledge is recontextualized to meet a local situation, and that what works in one country does not necessarily work in another country. And so you need to continually adapt not only protocols, but also ideas that you might see out in the world. You need to find a way to make that work in your own situation. I think another conversation that's been prominent in the Bio Summit is what is the legacy of colonialism, and the danger that what happens in the first world country becomes the only ideas that are valued, and that we don't look to see what is the value coming from all of these different local contexts. And I know with the Biofellows, the first year that we did it, the group that I was part of, we wanted to do something where we would share protocols between community labs around the world. And I'm an artist, and so I was really interested in trying to kind of generate some type of artist protocol that we could all do together at local spots asynchronously. And the first issue that came up is that everybody didn't have the equipment. So if we had an idea about a protocol, one of the assumptions was you needed the equipment to do that. So the thing that we tried to get going was how to ship repurposed equipment from the global north to places in the global south, and how we could get even an interaction going in terms of sharing resources that way. And I don't feel like we've gotten very far on those specifics yet, but I think those are the kind of ideas, is that if we want to exist as a group of people, what are the things that we need to make sure everybody has, and how do we find ways to support each other in really concrete manners? So I think each of you has brought up some really good challenges that you're facing in the specific areas that you are. And I just so appreciate that you're all part of this global community, and that I can be part of this global community with you guys. It's just been a tremendous experience, and very meaningful. So thank you all for that. We have about 8 minutes left, and we wanted to open the floor to questions. And so audience, this is your big chance. These are incredible people. These guys here, these are incredible people that have just been foundational folks in getting these community biolabs going. So here's your chance to ask them something. So you could do that two ways. You can just unmute yourself, or raise your hand, or you can type a question in chat. And we got one going right there. And this is from Mugeni, and she's saying, Mr. Odom, thank you for saying charity starts at home. We really hope our policymakers start viewing very positively what biotechnology can do for the betterment of the people as a whole. Thank you for that, Munge. Can you unmute yourself, Munge, and do you have anything you'd like to ask Mr. Odom specifically? Is it possible the host to unmute Mungenge? And I don't know if you actually want to talk, or you just want to write it down.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Oteb, nice to see you here. I'm also from Uganda, but currently I'm in Bangladesh for my studies, and I'm now in my 4th year microbiology at Black University. So I have seen you, Mr. Tim, and what you have told us here. I didn't know anything about that biolab in Uganda, and you have said maybe next year to open up. Mr. Otim?
Yes, please, Raymond.
Yes.
Back in Uganda here, we are doing great. Yeah, we have already our lab for the dedicated to our IGM team, which has already been there since 2018, and you are not aware, but good enough you are about to come back so that you get to know all this development taking place. Basically, at Makerere University, you can get in touch with me so that I give you more information about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to be in touch with you because I'm interested in what you are doing, actually. Hope to meet soon. I'm about to come back to Uganda.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's fantastic. You guys are meeting online here, and hopefully a mission will soon start in Uganda from this. Thank you so much, Mungenge, for speaking up with that. That's pretty cool that you're studying in Bangladesh there, and you got some wonderful people with Salman and Bhavna and these kind of folks that are there. That's great. Who else has a question? Who else would like to ask somebody? It's your big chance. You got 5 minutes. You can ask them anything you want. It's the ask anything round. What kind of things are you guys wondering about community biolabs? Could be something, what are you wondering about getting something going in your own place, how things are going, or what are you wondering about what's going on in the country you're from? And if we don't have any questions from the audience, what I'd like is panelists, what questions do you have for each other? I mean, you guys don't always get the chance to talk to each other, and you guys are powerhouses here. So what kind of things are you wondering about each other?
Well, I think like Erikan Balukush wants to ask a question or something.
Oh, okay.
Anyone can like unmute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you. Erican, yes, hello.
You can hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm Erikan Baluku. I'm from Uganda.
All
and
right.
I'm a member of Symbio Africa. And I'm also grateful to have seen Geoffrey presenting and the entire team about the Biolab in the open science. Basically, what I would like to ask is that we as young scientists who have always got a challenge sometimes whereby you find we fail to get much information maybe on how to start up some innovation. So as an integration of biolabs around the world, how best can we have that link that can help to unite us, maybe have that joint collaboration so that different projects can run within countries. Basically, if we find that maybe the theme is literally the same theme, but we're having different projects whereby we can be able to coordinate and gain more knowledge from our sister collaborators in other countries.
Great question. Do you want Geoffrey to answer that, or who would you like to answer that? Any of you? I think Erican muted again. So Geoffrey, what?
Yeah.
I think he's asking you.
Yes, Erican is part of Symbio Africa and was part of IGM 2018, Makerere University. So basically what he's asking is more of how can we, get collaborations with other teams in other countries so that we can share knowledge or we can share, sometimes we may also share protocols. So something like that. And also, breaking into, getting the funding is something like that. I think he's trying to find out those information, not from me, but from you and Caroline, you are one of them also. How can you advise us on how best we can move forward?
Oh, wow, that's a big question, right? And we have 1 minute left, so I'm sure we can find the answer there. One thing I'd say is this Bio Summit organization is really fantastic. So and this year it was online. We had 600 participants. I mean, that was incredible. And this conference here, Darwin, this is incredible. We have 98 people online right now, all pulling together, all thinking together about how do we move these issues of biotechnology further, how do we do this? And we're at a real critical time. I mean, the currency of biotechnology and the PCR and RNA, I mean, it's in people's vocabulary for the first time. And so we're at a turning point when biotechnology is really addressing some of the issues of the world. So I don't know the whole answer to that. I'd say look up BioSummit on the website, on online, and see what's going on there. Try and tune into that. Look up Darwin Conference and see what kind of programs they have going, extending from this conference. So I think we're out of time, and I just want to thank Geoffrey and Benno and Salman. I admire you guys so much. I admire what you're doing. I really love getting together and having these conversations. Thank you, Bhavna, for pulling this all together. And I think we're out of time. So maybe we could all wave, the panelists could wave.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Caroline, all the panelists and the Darwin team. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Happy to see you. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you again. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming in. Carolyn, ma'am, you were such a spirit to have. I honestly,
Thank you. Thank you, Ritika.
Hi, Geoffrey sir. Thank you for coming. It was so great to see you again.
Thank you.
Again, thank you to all the panelists for coming. Venu sir went off camera, so if you can see me, sir, thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Salman sir, thank you for coming. Carolyn ma'am, your moderation is something that I'm going to always set my standards up to. I'm always
Oh
going
my,
to hold myself against that. That's the kind of spirit that I want to have the next time I moderate something or I host something.
oh, you're doing a wonderful job. I appreciate you guys running this so much. You're doing wonderful.
You're what wonderful defiance. But okay, so that was the panel discussion for today, and damn great panel discussion it was. Okay, so next up we have a social media contest where the attendees will be talking about and posting stories about what they did in the workshops today. So I'm sure